The U.S. government shutdown has reached a critical juncture, with the Senate poised to vote on a deal that could finally end the impasse. But as the clock ticks, the political drama intensifies, revealing deep divisions within the Democratic Party and raising questions about leadership. Will the Senate find a way to break the deadlock, or will the shutdown's impact continue to mount? The latest developments, 51 minutes ago. Senator Thune set the stage for a series of 8 votes, aiming to finalize the shutdown measure by the end of the night. This series includes procedural votes, an amendment to include full-year appropriations bills and extend stopgap funding, and a controversial amendment from Senator Rand Paul to remove hemp regulation language from the agriculture funding bill. Thune also allocated time for speeches from several senators, including Patty Murray, Susan Collins, Tammy Baldwin, Bernie Sanders, Alyssa Slotkin, and Jeff Merkley. 4:20 p.m., the Senate is anticipated to commence voting around 5 p.m., with an amendment from Senator Rand Paul addressing hemp use in the agriculture spending bill expected to be considered. 3:18 p.m., California Democratic Representative Ro Khanna called for Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer's replacement, blaming him for the government shutdown deal. Khanna argued that Schumer, despite his past successes, is out of touch with the party's base and unable to meet the current political moment. 2:55 p.m., Senator Mike Rounds expressed optimism about an agreement to expedite the funding bill's passage, aiming to secure unanimous consent from senators. Republicans are eager to conclude the process before Veterans Day, as many senators have events planned in their states. However, the process could be prolonged if amendments are introduced, as Senator Rand Paul seeks a vote on an amendment regarding hemp products. 2:18 p.m., Senator Markwayne Mullin revealed that the White House proposed language in the new continuing resolution to reverse Trump-era layoffs and prevent cuts through January. This provision was crucial in securing the support of Democratic Senator Tim Kaine, who had made it his primary concern in the funding negotiations. 1:31 p.m., Senator Dick Durbin, the number 2 Senate Democrat, assured Thune that he and 7 colleagues would keep their word and vote to advance the funding measure. Durbin also referenced a deal to hold a vote on health insurance tax credits next month as part of the government reopening agreement. 12:59 p.m. The decision by 8 Democratic senators to support the shutdown deal has sparked fury within the party, with critics arguing that they abandoned the fight without securing significant concessions on healthcare tax credits. This move has exposed internal divisions, particularly between progressives and moderates, and led to calls for Schumer's resignation despite his personal opposition to the agreement. 12:27 p.m. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries praised Senate Democrats for their valiant fight during the shutdown, refraining from criticizing the 8 senators who crossed party lines. Jeffries emphasized the need to hold Republicans accountable for the healthcare crisis and shift the focus back to the House. 12:14 p.m. Jeffries defended Schumer's effectiveness as Senate Democratic leader, stating that he should retain his position despite criticism from some Democrats. 12:01 p.m. Majority Leader Thune expressed confidence that President Trump would sign the shutdown deal if it passes the Senate and House. 11:54 a.m. Thune believes there is a path forward for healthcare negotiations once the government reopens, suggesting that the president will be inclined to address high healthcare costs. He highlighted the need for bipartisan cooperation to tackle the unaffordability of Obamacare in its current form. 11:44 a.m. Thune urged senators to expedite the final passage of the legislation, hoping for a resolution in hours rather than days. The deal still faces procedural hurdles, including the substitution of the current text with the new continuing resolution and the 3-year-long funding bills. 11:01 a.m. The Senate convened to consider the motion to proceed with the House-passed continuing resolution, with roll call votes expected during Monday's session. 10:45 a.m. President Trump demanded that all air traffic controllers return to work immediately, threatening to dock those who don't and offering bonuses to those who remained on duty during the shutdown. Flight disruptions persist due to staffing shortages, despite the Senate deal. 10:19 a.m. Speaker Johnson urged House members to return to Washington in anticipation of a vote on a final deal, emphasizing the need to reopen the government and resume legislative work. 10:10 a.m. Johnson welcomed the Senate's action, stating that the end of the funding lapse is near and expressing gratitude for the resolution of the long national nightmare. 9:21 a.m. Senator Jeanne Shaheen, one of the Democrats who voted to advance the funding measure, defended the decision, arguing that prolonging the shutdown would not change the outcome. She criticized President Trump and Republicans for refusing to fund healthcare to keep costs affordable. 9:01 a.m. The Senate advanced the funding bill in a breakthrough vote, with 8 Democrats joining Republicans. Senate GOP leaders plan to amend the legislation to include full-year appropriations bills and extend temporary funding through January. This vote marks the beginning of a potentially lengthy series of procedural votes in the Senate. Controversy and comment. The government shutdown has exposed deep rifts within the Democratic Party, with progressives and moderates clashing over strategy and leadership. Should Schumer step down as Senate Minority Leader, as some have called for? Or is he the right person to lead the party through this crisis? And what does this mean for the future of the Democratic Party, especially with the midterm elections on the horizon? Share your thoughts in the comments below.